today I'm going to talk with you about how I mastered 5 different instruments. By the way, if you're new, I'm Brad Allen, and I'm a singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist based out of Kansas City, Missouri. First thing I'd like to say is the title is a little bit misleading. You never really master any specific instrument. It's a lifetime process. Basically, it comes down to setting goals. What do you want to do on that instrument? There's a very big difference between a pianist, a concert pianist who has spent their whole life doing nothing but practicing and playing the piano, and someone who sings and plays the piano or uses the piano kind of more as a tool. So it has to do with setting goals. For instance, on the piano, I had 2 basic goals. The first was to be able to accompany myself when I sang solo gigs. And also I wanted to be able to solo on the piano, improvise solos. And so those are very specific goals. That takes a lot less time, again, than mastering the piano, than being a classical pianist. The same is true on the guitar. I get a lot of compliments on my guitar playing, but I'm certainly not a classical guitarist. I'm also not a jazz guitarist. The guitar stuff that I play is rock, country, pop, things like that, which again, that's what I was interested in doing. And so that's what I spent most of my time practicing. I'm going to start out by talking about the drums a little bit here. I started the drums when I was very young. I was actually 12 years old, and I did the same route as many people. I played in the school band. I started playing the drum set professionally when I was 16, and so it's my strongest instrument because I've worked at it longer than any other instrument. I didn't learn all these instruments at once. I went through lots of different phases in my life, and some were very long phases. For instance, I started singing very, very young. I sang in a play. I did the lead in a play when I was in the 2nd grade, and what happened was the teacher heard me singing. After a few days of rehearsing for this play, she found that I knew all the songs in the play. And so she said, "We want to make you the lead." And so that was very easy for me. It was very natural. I didn't really think that much about it at the time, but that was a gift. I could sing in basically perfect tune by the time I was that age. I have recordings of that, and I didn't know that was unusual at the time. But anyway, I didn't sing after that publicly for many, many years. I just didn't really think about it. It didn't really interest me. Then later, I actually took voice lessons. I got more of an interest in singing. Basically, I was playing in bands in high school, and I wanted to be able to sing background harmonies for a country group I was playing with, things like that. So I started taking voice lessons again, continued those in college. Then I went on into the military band, and the whole time I was in the military band, I didn't sing again. All I was doing was playing the drums and percussion during that phase of my life. That was many years. I was in the Army almost 8 years. So for about 8 years there, I didn't sing at all. And then when I came to Kansas City, I found that it was a lot more commercially viable to have a jazz group if you could sing, or if you had a singer. My wife sang with me some in the beginning, but we had little kids at the time, and I basically told her, "Look, you're going to have to come out with me all the time, or we're not going to be able to do this, because otherwise you show up without the singer, and people want to know, well, where's your female singer?" So I started singing again at that point because it made sense. I didn't have to hire another singer. And so that's really what it started out. And of course, the more I did it, I've been doing that for many, many years. And you just get better at it, the more you do it. Okay, so the piano, I started piano lessons when I was a little kid. It took for, I don't know how long, maybe it was a year or two. Didn't want to practice, like most little kids. And my mother let me quit, basically. So I didn't play the piano again for many, many years. And then I started again in high school. And the reason I started taking piano lessons in high school is I saw that as a tool for songwriting, composing. I wanted to learn about all those things. You don't learn about that playing the drums, really. And so I took piano lessons. And then eventually I stopped that, took some more class lessons in college, continued again. I dabbled with the piano on and off through many years. Again, I used it as a tool for understanding theory. And there were times I thought I might actually perform on the piano, so I'd spend time periods practicing, then I would discard it because I'd get busy doing something else. Again, I went through different phases with the piano playing. What happened was during COVID, I had a lot of time on my hands. Of course, we were all quarantined, so I spent a lot of time practicing the piano. I spent most of my spare time practicing the piano because I really wanted to be able to perform publicly or professionally on the piano. So again, my goals were to be able to play chords and play solos. That's what I did. And as soon as COVID was over, I started working that into my solo shows, and it just got more and more comfortable. I started the guitar twice and quit, and I eventually stuck with it. For several years, that's mostly what I practiced. I wanted to be able to work as a soloist, and I was also very inspired by some of the great guitarists that I worked with in my jazz group. So this is something I just really wanted to be able to do. And I remember I started in my 30s, and a lot of people said that was too late to start. Like so many things, I just didn't listen to people. I didn't think that was true. And it's not true, by the way. You can start an instrument at pretty much any age in life and learn to play that instrument and be really good at it, by the way. So I started out, it was very uncomfortable working as a soloist, but eventually that got easier and easier. And, you know, as I said earlier, I get a lot of compliments on my guitar playing, but I know my limits on the guitar. So this brings me to another topic, which is maintaining and continuing to develop my ability on multiple instruments. And basically, once I got to a certain level on each instrument, I maintained my ability and continued to develop by performing. And that's why it's easier for a professional musician to do what I've done than for someone who works at a day job and comes home and practices. It takes them a lot more time because they have to actually take time away from their regular work to practice. Musicians, professional musicians, have that advantage that they're always playing their instruments. So in that sense, they're always practicing. So as I go through these different phases, sometimes I'm basically just maintaining my ability on that instrument by performing, although I'm still always improving because the performance is the practicing. In addition to the performing, I usually have an area still that I'm always really focusing on to improve. Right now I'm very focused on the bass guitar, and I started many years ago. I practiced a lot early on, but eventually I stopped practicing because I was spending so much time practicing the guitar. The bass is my weakest instrument right now, and I simply want to be able to play more interesting bass lines when I record and to be able to play them more easily. So that's why I'm spending a lot of time practicing the bass. I hope you found this interesting. Every week I take my listeners behind the music. I show the creative process behind my songs, where the ideas come from and how I create my tunes. I also show how I record and produce my music. I show my struggles and victories as well, how I find work as a freelance musician, and much more. This is a free series, by the way, and to receive these weekly episodes, just follow the link in the video or in the notes below. And we'll see you next time.